Welcome to an Indie Film Podcast film review. I'm Victoria.
And I am Chuck. Today we're going to be reviewing the movie Wormtown, which was produced by Andrew James Myers, Philip Garrett, and directed by Sergio Pinheiro.
When a cult that worships mind-altering parasites takes over a small town, a trio of women in lockdown are dragged into a fight for survival and revenge.
Victoria, would you rate Wormtown, buy it, rent it, or wait till it's free?
On our scale there, I would actually give Wormtown a buy it rating. Not just because I really would love to see this film get supported, but because I have actually enjoyed watching it more than once.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give it a solid buy it rating as well. So let's talk about some of the aspects that we enjoyed specifically about this film, some areas that might need to be improved upon. Do you want to start off and maybe tell us what the film's about?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Wormtown is set in small town America, and the film drops us into a dystopian future where worms run the world. They are UV-phobic parasites. They infect their leaders, starting with Mayor Joshua, who then uses propaganda and fear-mongering to recruit more hosts over his very haunting, creepy, and persistent radio broadcasts. Our story follows three rebellious women hell-bent on avoiding infestation as they pursue greener pastures in nearby Amish country, which remains safe from the world-dominating worms.
Yeah, I dug the entire concept, which was these people that were infected with worms were kind of vampiric in a sense. They couldn't go out into the sunlight. You had this counterculture to these, they were basically religious zealots or political zealots, or however you want to interpret the type of zealotry that they espoused.
There were zealots for sure.
The radio was playing throughout most of the time when you're in the town, Wormtown in the film, and the people were infected with worms, couldn't go outside. Really creative idea for sure.
They give them the Nightcrawler cult.
Yes,
is what they're called.
And do you want to talk about, because I don't want to spoil it, because you're big on art department, so go ahead. Why don't you talk about art department first on this movie?
Art department absolutely crushed it. This is just this deliciously, disgustingly gore fest of a body horror film where you see these worms actually crawling inside people's body.
Yeah.
If you don't like body horror, this is not for you.
Body horror is in films like Saw, where it's just kind of like painful.
Yeah, but this one was much more interesting than like the Hostel series for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I would watch this over Hostel any day.
Yeah.
Sorry, no shade to Hostel.
Yeah.
No, shade to Hostel.
It's gross, is the idea. Is like you're looking at some decomposing bodies, a lot of gore.
Yeah.
Those types of things.
There is a lot of that happening, and it's just so well done. But it's paired with like these really cinematic, almost art house wide shots, but then these super uncomfortable tight close-ups. The makeup on some of these characters is just mind-blowing, and I don't want to give away too much there, but it's just so worth the watch for the art department alone.
Yeah. So indie films, I agree with that completely. So indie films that I usually watch, the cinematography and the sound, as long as those are gold, then you're looking at things like, okay, well, what's the scope?
Yeah.
And also you have the story aspect, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I felt like the cinematography and the sound were just gold.
Yeah,
and
stellar.
The scope of this film was something that is really unique. And indie filmmakers out there, I think that you could take a look at this and be kind of inspired at what you could potentially do outside of the Hollywood studio or major studio environment, because they basically shot this in Ashland, Ohio. The town Wormtown has a post-apocalyptic vibe, and the locations where these three women were hiding out also kind of post-apocalyptic vibe.
Very warehouse covered in plastic sheeting.
Yeah, and they did it really well, and you didn't think that this was not a super high budget major motion picture, because they were able to convince the mayor of Ashland, Ohio to shut the town down.
Yeah, the mayor, Matt Miller, apparently was totally fine with shutting down Main Street for 2 days for them to get the shots that they needed in the big downtown square area where they can't be out in the daylight. So the town looks very empty during the daylight, and it's so cool. And I love that the town, that shows me that the town cares about the arts, about this film, about supporting their own community. I think that's really cool. It's sort of the Napoleon Dynamite story.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're making films, it might not be a bad idea. This kind of like gives me ideas of location scouting is super important. And if you want to have a post-apocalyptic vibe for your film, you want to try to find some towns that you could potentially shoot in and people that are going to be flexible. And, a town in the Midwest,
Yeah,
might not be a bad idea.
It might not, especially
revisit.
a town that was, heavy on manufacturing and stuff back in the day and maybe isn't so much now.
Yeah.
And not saying that that's Ashland's case, just a lot of other cities in the Midwest are that way. So you may be able to find some abandoned buildings and things that might, and get creative with your shots. All you need is a few establishing wides that really show off that vacant feel.
Yeah.
And boom, then you can just creatively cut some tighter ones and it looks like it's still real empty.
And Wormtown did a fantastic job of that. And they also just did a great job with the cinematography overall. One caveat I do want to mention about this film, because I'm very much a plot person.
Yeah.
But the story here is definitely more vibe than intricate plot.
Yeah.
Still extremely entertaining. Definitely. But if you're one of those people that wants to have like an intricately woven soap opera type plot structure where every action has an equal and opposite reaction, this one is more about a holistic look, very artistic.
Yeah.
About religion potentially, or politics, or how those things can infect us and what the results of some of that infection are.
Yeah. And I actually really liked that they went such a very visceral reaction, right? Worms infesting your body just kind of makes you squirmy and uncomfortable. And so the fact that it can be applied to so many other things, whether it is religions or whether it is politics or whether it's the corporate structure that you work in every day, whatever it is that you're kind of battling against, it has a lot of allegory for that. But I also kind of like that, between the idea of, standing up against oppressors versus the religious motifs, it also had kind of a hard look at motherhood. And then also had a couple moments of really, almost an affront to gender norms.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like there's a lot of depth in how it doesn't matter who you are. If you're an indie filmmaker or you're just interested in indie films, you're going to find something to relate to in this film. You
Absolutely.
just will.
And if you want to read the entire review in depth, you can go to indiefilmpodcast.com and go to the reviews page.
Yes.
And you'll be able to read that there, as well as if you want to have one of your films featured on our YouTube channel or on our webpage, you can go to indiefilmpodcast.com/submit.
And if you would like to buy Wormtown, because we think you should, then you can go find it on Apple TV, or it's streaming on Amazon Prime as well, or you can go to crankedupfilms.com. Yes. To get more information about it.
Excellent. So definitely check it out. Give it a purchase. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you just go watch the trailer, definitely let us know your thoughts in the comments, because this film is definitely worth watching.
Awesome. Shall we succinctly say farewell?
I think so.
Bye.
Bye.